All right, y'all, thanks for tuning back in here to another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Today we got another build in the shop here. We got a 2018 S1000RR with the helps also of Brock's Performance as well. Today we're going to be installing a Brock's CT system full exhaust, also the full system and power commander. Absolutely, because this bike is not going to get flashed. It's going to have just a fuel map put into it once the full exhaust and the cat delete and everything is also put on it as well. Then we are also going to put the Sprint PO8 air filter in that as well. So in episode 2, obviously we will start to go ahead and disassemble and get the gas tank taken off, the tail section obviously taken off, to obviously start to solder in the power commander, clip in obviously to the the primary fuel injectors, and as well obviously take the air box off so that we can put the Sprint PO8 air filter within. Of course, we will obviously plug off the emissions as well, so that obviously once it's on the dyno, it will obviously get a correct and accurate reading so that there is no EGR or any exhaust gas recirculation going back into the intake system, so it'll just be as pure as possible. So first things first, and first and foremost, we have to obviously get all of the body work here off the bike and to obviously start unloosening the Akrapovic HP racing performance system that obviously came on this bike for obviously the better CT Brock's Performance full titanium exhaust. So let's start and get this taken off. Alright guys, so here we have the BMW exhaust, and obviously next here to the R1 exhaust, and this is obviously all stainless steel, so you can see some obviously from my other video that you guys are going to see, if you haven't seen, that one's like 20 pounds, and this one's even like 25 or 30, so you have the entire stainless steel header, you have your primaries that go from cylinders 1 to 4, and obviously the servo connects that to change the primary length of tube, obviously for torque management and such like that. Here you have your back servo here, obviously as well, for emissions control, and here is your catalytic converter, which your also primary muffler before it goes to your secondary muffler that we have over here, the Akrapovic as well. So since this system obviously only has, I think this bike has like 500 or 600 miles, we're just going to pretty much go ahead and sell it as a complete system. So if anybody needs it, obviously let me know, reach out to me, we can obviously figure out some way to get this well to you. So the new system that we have, again, I mentioned before, we have the Brock's CT full titanium exhaust system. It only comes in titanium. It does not come in stainless. So we're obviously going to put that in. And we have, obviously, our exhaust buns that we're going to put on here. And we go ahead and bolt those up. Very similar to the video that you obviously already saw when I did it here with mine as well. One thing you obviously want to mention, and let me get up in here with the camera, best thing of using a GoPro, is make sure that your gaskets and stuff stay inside of the cylinder head. If they don't, make sure you grab them off of the header and put them back on. Those are crucial. It's definitely needed, your crushed gaskets, otherwise you will have a leak. So we're going to go ahead and obviously speed this up. It's very similar. You have your two primaries. You have 2 and 4, 2 and 3 and 1 and 4, and they go into a collector, 4, 2 to 1, and then we will go ahead and put that into the mid pipe and get it going out to the tail section. And that'll wrap it up for this video, but before we wrap up this video, we're going to show it and obviously try and start this bike up so we can hear the exhaust. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we finally have the Brock's full titanium CT full exhaust system obviously here installed. So now I'm just going to go ahead and button the pipe back up, and you can see beautiful craftsmanship, beautiful muffler. This is such a gorgeous exhaust. I do love it. The craftsman work and everything about it is fantastic. And obviously everything went together just as it all came apart. You could see the beautiful primaries right in there. So I'm going to go ahead and obviously put this together. Just for time's sake, I sped this video up a little bit with some time lapse and obviously me putting everything back together so that everything goes together the exact same way it came apart. We're going to button up the fairings But I already buttoned up this side, got everything already back together, and then we are going to obviously get the tank off with the seat off, as well with the rear tail section off, because we have to get obviously all these servo cables and stuff out. So we'll get the servo out. That's pretty straightforward, and get the power commander completely installed. So I think I'm just going to wrap this video up, and that's going to pretty much conclude it here for today's video. I don't really necessarily need to show you just putting the rest of the fasteners in the fairings for this part, but we'll continue on to the next video with the power commander and the air filter. So that's going to wrap it up here for today's video on the full exhaust install of this bike. You will obviously see it completely installed with some sound clips coming up in some further videos, so definitely stay tuned for that. Don't want to really spoil it for you in this video. Well, again, if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, at the Speedbug, same name here as YouTube, and we will catch you here for another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Deuces. Yo, what it is, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in here to another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Today we're finishing up. We're starting up another episode here of the S1000, and today we are going to obviously be putting in the sprint filter. Now, obviously, I have, for the most part, the majority of the bike apart. You already have to take the back seat off to get the tank off, and you just obviously take a couple pieces of plastics off, and obviously the fuel line, and here we have our sprint filter. And the reason why I'm not going so far in depth on this, because I've done this video already on my S1000, the black one that's sitting right there, and I went through this entire process when I did mine. So if you want to know exactly how it's done, and the videos are obviously about 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, there's actually quite a few on this build series. Definitely check it out when I did mine, and obviously it'll kind of guide you. But this is just obviously just, you know, me showing and obviously inputting some new things here for the S1000. So obviously out with the old, which is obviously a straight paper filter. It looks very similar to like just any other OEM filter. And then we obviously are upgrading to a P08 Sprint air filter. So we'll go ahead and throw that back in there. Obviously cap off this emissions plug here, and button this one up here. So it's pretty straightforward. So let's keep rolling. So really, obviously, quickly just summing things up. We have obviously the tank off with the fuel pump harness, and obviously the fuel line here. And here we have the new sprint filter installed. So we'll go ahead and obviously throw the last cap on that goes into the front of this to obviously guide the air to come through the frame rail and into the air box, and that'll wrap it up here for the sprint air filter. But we're not going to finish it up here on this episode. We are definitely going to polish up on the other one, and we have to put the power commander in. So the power commander goes in. We'll put it here into the tail section of the bike. Run the cords right down the side of the bike here with the rest of the wiring harness. Come down through here. We have to splice into a wire here or two for the gear shifter, and then we piggyback into the 4 main injector harnesses. So we will start to get that going. So let's roll. Yo, what it is, everybody, and thanks for tuning back in here to another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Today we're picking up right where we left off here on the BMW S1000RR project. We've already again fished the wire through for the power commander. No map or anything has been loaded, and I have obviously all of the connection wires straight up to the fuel injectors, and obviously piggybacked off the primary injectors. We do obviously have to connect the TPS sensor and obviously the gear selector sensor. So we will be splicing into this harness that I've already pre-pulled out so that we can get into that, solder those wires together to ensure a great and full bond connection. We already have our P08 Sprint air filter installed, a Brox CT full titanium exhaust that we're going to be firing up the bike here shortly. As soon as we get this all buttoned up, we're going to remove this quick tail section here, which is obviously no big deal because it's hideous as shit. We think it is absolutely disgusting, and we're going to obviously mount the plate up underneath. And then we're going to give it back to the customer. But before we actually give it back to the customer itself, we'll do a small little fire up we'll be able to rev it up so you can actually hear the exhaust, see exactly what it sounds like, because I did not disclose that in my latest video when I put the exhaust on. We got to keep the suspense going a little bit. So we'll go ahead and fire that thing up. Do a quick test drive, obviously, around the block. Make sure everything's sounding sweet, and then it goes back home to the customer. But before it can do all of that, absolutely, it definitely, before it can be ripped on and all that other stuff, it definitely needs to be dyno tuned. So we'll obviously take it down to Blaze Cycle in Dania and go have this thing dyno tuned. And at the same time, we're going to have this one dyno tuned. We're going to have the R1M as well dyno tuned, because we pretty much did the same thing. But rather than do a power commander here on the R1M, if you've been following the channel, we are going to be doing an ECU flash. So let's start this one. We have these two wires here, as mentioned before, that come on the power commander. Your 4 piggyback that go into the fuel injection harness. We have to splice into here, which is pretty straightforward, and then this will wrap it up. So let's get this piece going, and I'll see you in the next screen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now that we finally have our TPMS sensor and our gear shifter installed, so now that we have these wires here obviously soldered together, we're going to go ahead and electrical tape that and obviously wrap them and put some heat shrink around it to ensure just a factory seal and nothing else obviously happens. And then take the tail section off, and this bike is ready to be almost completed. So let's fire this thing up shortly. Okay, y'all, well, appreciate y'all tuning in. That was a combination of episodes 1, 2, 3, and I was filming along the way and was obviously showing the customer, good friend of mine as well, the process and of course how to do some of these things. So I didn't go as in depth as I would before, because I mentioned before I did a lot of these mods and everything on my BMW, and you can see my black one right here, my 2015. If you want to check out a more further in-depth build, check out some of my older videos where I did pretty much disassemble this entire bike and obviously put it back together for some of my mods, and just because I like to tinker with some things. But that's another chapter, that's another story. But we obviously, again, to wrap it up, we put a Brock CT full system titanium exhaust on it, the PC5, and of course the Sprint air filter. A couple small aesthetic things like that, but nothing too crazy, but everything turned out great. So I did, again, wrap everything up kind of into one video so you guys didn't have to wait, and everything turned out super great, and the customer's happy, and the bike runs great, so those are the two things that matter most. So episode 4 and 5, obviously, which the next one following up is a quick trip to the dyno, which I already have some of the clips and all that already filmed, because unfortunately I couldn't be there. But I do have some clips, so we'll show you that in another video. But the bike did make great power, so make sure you tune in for that part 4. And then obviously part 5 will be us going to the track and playing around on some of these things. So everything turned out great. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was a little bit informative, maybe a little comedy as well. But thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, @TheSpeedBug. Same name here as YouTube. Links in the description below if you need them. And we'll check you here for another episode here on the Speedbug channel. Deuces, guys.